The American Chemical Society, scientists at the University of Idaho reported that there are close to synthesizing helpful hops and compounds in a lab. Basically, it's like disease-fighting beer. Joining us to talk about it, medical expert and founder and CEO of Diamond Physicians in Dallas. He likes to be called Dr. James. Dr. James Pinkney. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Doing well.
So, disease-fighting beer. This is like a gift from above for an awful lot of husbands out there. When it comes to, I don't want to take the cough medicine, I think I'll just take a beer instead. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, the potential is exciting, and we're actually talking about a specific subset of hops.
Okay.
And hops, as you know, is a flower that's used to brew beer, and it offers flavoring and stability to beer. And something in hops called humulones is what actually fights disease or could potentially fight disease. And humulones have anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, and antimicrobial properties. So that's what scientists are trying to isolate and synthesize humulones synthetically.
So obviously this is something that is kind of new. I mean, I guess maybe we don't hear about hops a whole lot, or we just don't think about, the fact that hops could have any sort of, medicinal purpose to them. But this could be really big news, though, especially when it comes to the anti-cancer portion of it.
Yeah, well, we've been using hops for hundreds of years in herbal medicine. So most of our current medications are derived from plants. So this isn't anything new. It is interesting because obviously hops is one of the main ingredients in beer. So I think the exciting portion is that if we can synthetically create these humulones and isolate the ones that have the most antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties, then potentially inject them back into beer, then you could potentially have disease-fighting beer.
So now, what kind of benefits do the hops actually provide? I mean, are there specific things that they're going to be able to better target, with the hops?
Well, it's the alpha acids in the hops, the humulones, that actually offer the antimicrobial, which means antiviral and antibacterial products. So that is what we're trying to isolate, replicate, and evaluate in order to find a new generation of medication. So the whole premise is, we have all these antibiotic-resistant bacteria out there,
right?
The overuse of the current antibiotics and medications. So we're looking at new, kind of a next generation of medicines here.
When you mentioned the antibiotics that a lot of us take when we get sick or whatever, they're just, some of them just don't seem to be working as well as they once did, and obviously that comes from just being overprescribed. Would that be fair to say?
No, it comes from being overprescribed and individuals not completing the whole course. Twofold there. We use antibiotics for viruses. For instance, in Texas, it's allergy season, and allergies are running wild, and everyone has sinus infections and inflamed sinuses. And studies have shown that antibiotics don't decrease the course of a sinus infection. So sinus infections typically last for 7 to 10 days. With or without antibiotics, but everybody wants a Z-Pak for their sinus infection, and most doctors will just write one and not practice evidence-based medicine. So we really have to understand when antibiotics are appropriate. They do not work for viruses whatsoever. You have to use an antiviral. So for things like the flu, we do have an antiviral. But for most viruses, there's no cure. There's no treatment. So like the adenovirus, which is a common cold, we don't have an antiviral for that. And if someone comes down with a fever, cough, sniffles, they always want an antibiotic. And that is not the answer.
So now, would you suggest disease-fighting beer to their patients, or to your patients? If it came down to that, I mean, would it be really, I got to go pick up a six-pack of medicine? I mean, is that kind of how it would work out?
Yeah. I don't think that is exactly where they're heading. I think it's beer hops is the
right.
Key to the fight disease. Down the line, this is many years away, and I think the headline was interesting and eye-catching. But the fact of the matter is, it's not the beer itself; it's the humulones, which are derived from hops inside the beer. So it's kind of two sides removed.
Right.
So I would recommend beer hops to fight disease. disease, but not necessarily craft beer.
I was going to say, because I know right now I could count at least 5 people that are going to say, I'm drinking my beer to get my humalones, basically. And that's what they're going to start telling their wives. Listen, the doctor told me to do this. He said it was better for my health if I just drink beer. So not that you are emphasizing or saying that that's okay, but it really is interesting to find out that hops have such a big future when it comes to medicine in them. I mean, this could be really groundbreaking stuff, especially when you say for things like that we don't have a cure for, the common cold. Well, maybe this is where the cure for the common cold is.
Yeah, it's very exciting and very interesting. So hopefully the research at the University of Idaho will continue, and we can use beer hops as the next generation of medications.
There you go. Dr. James, thank you so much for your time this morning, sir. We certainly appreciate it. Great to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you.
You got to take care.